I'm going to do a sound check, so see if you can hear me. Good morning, Charles Van Morgan. We're prepared for the rain on our way down to the bridge. So we'll do a sound check this morning, make sure y'all can hear us. So yesterday we had a little technical problems. Good morning, Charles Van Morgan in the morning, the morning show. We're on our way to the bridge. We're talking about people in power violence this morning. So we're going to talk about some instances of violence where if you speak, they will, in effect, climb up on buildings and sniper you or send other people to. Not in reality, symbolically in things that they do. So Charles Van Morgan in the morning, can y'all hear me? Let's see if y'all can hear me. We had a little technical problems yesterday. Got a great show for you today. Got some real important information for you, some breaking news about a major in the Highway Patrol. So we'll wait till the end of it to tell you about that. Let's see if y'all can hear me. So do we have anybody in here yet? Charles Van Morgan in the morning. We're waiting until we do a sound check. So we got some news about a major in the Highway Patrol, how they violate the law and take money wrongfully. So we're going to talk about that with some proof. And may send it to a link to this video to the Tennessee Highway Patrol, since we have let them know about it, and they don't intend to do anything about it because the Internal Affairs Division is set up to protect people in power and to get rid of good officers that protect the public. So, we'll put it at the end so they'll have to watch the whole damn video or fast forward it. We'll make them work for it, but we'll send the link to the Highway Patrol. How dirty they are and dangerous to public safety. The Tennessee Department of Public Danger is what they are. So can y'all hear me? Let's see here. Yesterday we had a little sound trouble. Today we hope we don't. Cut down on our viewership. And we're going to talk about state violence, people in state government that are violent. So let's see if we got anybody in here. Let me know if you can hear me. Charles Van Morgan in the morning. Got a great show, breaking news. We're going to talk about, first we're going to start off with talking about state violence. So yeah, let's see here. Looks a little dark. Okay, yeah. What dad is that? Yeah, well, I'm not. Yeah, okay. So thank y'all for listening, tuning in. We're gonna, it is a little dark. It's in the morning. We're on our way to the we start early because a lot of people tune in early in the morning. And we're on our way to the bridge symbolically because they closed down a major bridge in the city of Knoxville that's been open since 1898, over 100 years. And the city of Knoxville has closed it down, alleging it's broke, but they are going to open it up for pedestrian traffic. They want everybody walking. They don't want you driving in cars. Except for them, they want to drive in cars. What hypocrisy. So we're pointing out the hypocrisy of people in power who have infiltrated our government. And our government's all over the world. So if you're listening in other countries, hey, we got some suggestions, some things you can do to start this little social movement. We've already started it, been doing this for about 5 years. Got over 350,000 people listening in the past few days. Charles Van Morgan in the morning. So if they kick me off here because I'm telling the truth about the government, we won't have a failure to communicate. We'll still communicate. What we'll do is we'll be on Telegram or Rumble. So remember the brand name. All you got to do is remember Charles Van Morgan. Charles Van Morgan. Look me up if they take me off YouTube. I hope they don't. I'm not violating their rules, but their rules and their channel set up to back up the government, to back up them. And I'm not violent or dangerous at all. I'm advocating voting. I'm not advocating doing dangerous stuff like they do. And we're going to talk about the dangerous stuff that they do. Talk about people in government power, violence. And toward the end, if we got time, we may do it tomorrow. We are going to talk about breaking news from a corrupt major with the Tennessee Highway Patrol, Major Stacy Heatherly. live broadcast all over the world. I guess I need to keep my head down because these people are violent. I'm telling you. I am very concerned about my life being taken from me for pointing out public people in power and their violence towards me and their violence towards the public. So let me get adjusted here. It is supposed to rain today, so I'm well prepared. Got me an umbrella. It's not raining hard now. It's just a little sprinkle, so we won't have to turn this on. But let's see how many people we got in here. We're going to talk about violence and from the government. You know, people talk about Charlie Kirk getting sniped. And I'm going to discuss a little bit of that too. So hang in here with me. Got some important, unbridled information that's truthful and honest. And breaking news. Talk about government violence. So here we go. Let's see what we got in here. Yeah, we got quite a few people in here. Thank y'all very much. Let's read some of the comments. Could you say hello, Kango? Hello, Kango. Okay. Barbara Bansel, bye. Okay, bye. Back, Mega, I do. Hey, friend. Hello, Maverick Stark. Americans can stand to do little more walking to completely honest. Obviously, rate is out of... Oh, that's true. North Dakota here. Hello, North Dakota. Boycott Walmart, radiation, shrink. Okay, I don't know what that means. So come on in. Charles Van Morgan in the morning got breaking news. So we're going to talk about people in power and the government violence. And as I said, I'm very concerned about my safety because people in power, we try to hurt me, but they put me in a position to where it is a necessary thing. And I have been trained from a child, born without a dad, or not without a dad. My dad was killed when I was 2 years old, and I was raised without a dad from the age of 2, and God protected me. And the angel of the Lord encampeth around about them that fear him and delivereth them. So I pray for protection every day. And I believe in the Lord Jesus Christ and speak the gospel to people. You should trust in the Lord Jesus Christ. So, you know, I know where I'm going, but the government's very dangerous to you, very detrimental to your health. And I'm going to talk about some instances where they're violent and dangerous. And I'm promoting violence. I'm promoting voting. They're promoting violence. And also a social movement that we've been working on for years. And they got some breaking news about Major Stacy Heatherly, where we spent several $100s getting requests for information. We've also went through their complaint process to let them know about what's going on. And you'd think they want to know that's something that makes the highway patrol look bad. But I can tell you firsthand, no, they don't. They care about keeping people in power and backing up the politicity, backing up the majors and the captains, and unless something happens they can't cover it up, then they won't do anything about it. They will get rid of good troopers. So let's talk about government violence. Let's talk about Jeffrey Ward. I told you I was going to tell you about that yesterday. So Jeffrey Ward, he's a member of the Tennessee Board of Law Examiners. Now, if y'all remember, not only did they take my job from me, they also denied me a law license. I was in law school when they took my job from me because I was trying to do everything I could do to get out of THPP, but they wouldn't let me get out before they took my job, and I continued going to law school. I slept in my van out in Nashville to go to classes one night a week. In the last year of school, we had 3 nights I had to go to school. I drove all the way out there from Knoxville, 3-hour trip there and back, and stayed 2 nights overnight. And I didn't have the money for a hotel, so I slept in my van, in my taxi, and went to class and had all my clothes and stuff, and graduated from law school with help from Michelle. She gave me, one year she gave me about $4,000 to pay for classes. And I was just late paying for classes one time. Boy, they sure let me know about it, withheld my grades. and other younger students, they gave them that weren't as qualified. They gave them scholarships and overlooked they were late much more times. And I was late one time that failed my grades without even me being able to explain it to them. So yeah, Nashville School of Dirty Law, a law school made for rich people like Clemmy Jr. But I graduated from law school and trying to get on with my life and passed the bar exam, and they alleged that I didn't fill out my application correctly. 4 years of work, besides that 4 years of college, and I'm even better qualified than most attorneys, because I even have you just have to have a bachelor's degree in law school. I had a Master of Arts still in sociology, criminology. And this is the reason why I know how they're criminals and they do more danger than street criminals, because of my education in numbers and surveys and statistics and what really goes on. And people know it. They know how dirty the people in power are. They know what kind of criminals they are. I mean, I talk to them every day. They just don't know that there's actual science to back up what they're saying, to go along with, hey, we've studied this, and suit crime, major Stacey Heatherly crime, costs much more damage than a street thug. The suit thugs, the uniform thugs. And that's science. And there's science that goes behind that. That's what you learn in sociology, that what you think you don't know, but you suspect is going on. Yeah, there's science behind it. You're absolutely right. So people know what they teach you in sociology. But I graduated, took the bar exam, passed it, and they said I didn't fill out my application correctly, lying, of course, because they're blackballing me. I divulged that I was wrongly terminated from the Highway Patrol, which I was. I mean, we can try the case if they want to before a fair tribunal. I'd be back to work today. I was out trying to protect the public, did better protecting the public than any trooper in the state. Made more arrests for about half a decade than any trooper in the state for drunk driving. The fatality rate was lower when I was out on the road, but they don't care about the fatality rate. They claim they do, but they don't. They could care less. They care about their careers, and the promotions go to who's your daddy or who promotes to their political campaigns. And their internal affairs division is set up to protect people in power, just like I have submitted information, documents about Major Stacey Heatherly, what she's doing wrong, and they have refused to get back to me. So I'm going to show them this video. The world knows THPP, the world knows, and there's some good officers with the Highway Patrol. But the administration is set up to take your tax money and keep them in power for doing nothing. Because when I was on the Highway Patrol, I did something. Other troopers the same way that got terminated. And they're troopers that that were drinking on the job, intoxicated, driving patrol cars, and they didn't lose their job. So I'm just saying, arresting a drunk driver for public safety will get you fired. Being intoxicated on the job in a state patrol car, you don't get fired. So, I mean, that's literally happened. Check the newspaper. They like to cover it up. But that's the truth. And so we're talking about violence by people in power that have infiltrated our government. And it happens all over the world. I'm just pointing it out. And it's dangerous to do this, but I trust in the Lord. And ask y'all to donate and contribute and help us fight these thugs, these dirtbags, these criminals in state power, and have a means of overtaking them, which is public information, putting it out to 350,000 people worldwide, and also being cautious and trusting in the Lord. So yeah, people say that, and I've just had one person, a news reporter, and news people are proxies for the government. They're news reporters. They're propaganda for the government is all news is. And this is what this channel, this is real news, unbridled. I'm not controlled by their dirty law licenses that prevent attorneys from running down judges. I'll run them down. They're dirtbags, criminals, thieves, stealing your money. And stealing your money from Tennessee all over the United States. If I were you and I was in another state, I'd be mad at Tennessee judiciary. They're thieves. Yeah, I said it. That's the truth. They are. So if something happens to me, don't look at some long thug gunman that they may send, and I don't predict that happening. It may, though. Look at people in government power. Look at the THPP, people in power, and look at the Christian governor, Bill Lee. I mean, it's mysterious how his wife ended up deceased. And an accident on the farm, has that ever been investigated? They did have another governor that the TBI, since he's already passed, has said that he murdered somebody. So we find out about stuff after Governor Lee's out of office, and I don't know, have they not looked into that? But I'm just saying, government's dangerous to you. They're violent. So, but the other reporter that interviewed me and acting like he was doing a fair and biased interview, and then he gets on his little bitty nothing that nobody listens to report, and writes that I am angry about stuff that happened with the state government, and that's true to a point, but that's not why I'm reporting this. The reason why I'm reporting this is to protect the public from these rogue people in power, because it's dangerous to you, and indicating that I am doing that for some type of revenge, and that's not true. That's not true at all. When I was arresting drunk drivers, people would say, well, you're arresting drunk drivers because you had somebody in your family killed drunk. That's not true. That's not true at all. I did it for public safety, to protect the public, and this protects the public worldwide. And people, even the Bible says be angry and sin not. I'm not doing anything wrong. I am speaking the truth to power, and that is the right thing to do. And it's the hard thing to do, but it's necessary, and people should be happy that I'm out front leading this movement, people in power in their government, to get these rogue people out instead of insulting me. But their insults don't matter. It doesn't. I appreciate your views. But that reporter ran me down in his article. Didn't even get my age right. Said a lot of things bad about me. Praised the other candidates that are part of the government that are Democrats. One of them that's a Democrat. Praised them to high heaven. That has no education, and if an emergency happens, has no emergency management training. Very dangerous. They don't care. They're trying to win favors with the people in power in Knoxville government, and they do. They get favors. But I'm not going to mention his name or his news article that he publishes, because I'll show you. I copied his last YouTube video had 14 views. So I'm not going to help him out. No one listens to him. So I was just going to point out that what we're doing matters. Over 350,000 people. If we can get to the bridge in time, I'll show you the 350,000 people that are listening to us. And I'll show you his little 14 views without his name on it, because I'm not giving him any credit. Because in his last video, when he talked about the election, he didn't even mention my name. Mentioned the other candidate's name. So he's a little bit of a dirtbag thug. But we're going to talk about government violence. So Mr. Jeffrey Ward, I passed the bar exam, and they said I didn't fill out my application correctly. So he gave me a show cause hearing saying they were going to deny my law license, and I filled out my application correctly. They want me to admit to something I didn't do, which would be not very candid. And they allege that they turned me down for my law license. Jeffrey Ward was on that board, a lawyer from Upper East Tennessee, a thug from Upper East Tennessee. And he was on the board, very nice, and while they're cutting my throat, trying to. And he was on the board, and they turned me down for my law license and said that I wasn't candid. Let me explain to you about candor. Candor means that you tell the truth, but you don't tell the whole truth. So when you're explaining something, you leave parts out. And when you're explaining something and you leave parts out, if you lack candor, that means that you leave significant parts out that matter in the narrative, that you're actually in effect being fraudulent. You're telling a story, but you're not telling the complete story. That's lack of candor. That's what they said. And legally, in order for them to prove lack of candor, they have to prove, because you can tell a story and leave anything out. Like if you're telling a story about a car and you leave the color of the car out. What about if the color of the car is not a significant issue? They can say, oh, he left the color of the car out and deny law license. Really? Wow, that's what they do. They make up stuff. But if they're trying to prove things legally that I lack candor, then they need to have something significantly that I left out. Not that I put information in a different box than what they asked for, that it's in there. But that's what they allege, that I lack candor. That's federal law that applies to Tennessee. Federal definition for lack of candor. I don't lack candor. In fact, they do. And that's not even a criminal offense to lack candor. And you should have the opportunity to explain anything that they're alleging that you left out. Just ask me what it is you think I left out. And but they won't give you the chance to explain, because their hearings are not set up to be an unbiased tribunal to decide whether or not you're honest and can enough to give you your law license. That's not what it's for. They're going through a procedure. Their courts are just a procedure. They're not real. They're fake courts. You talk about fake news. What about fake courts that are set up? We'll give you due process. We have to have a semblance of due process to make ourselves look legitimate. And y'all in other countries have that. That's not legitimate. That's a semblance to try to appear legitimate. We gave them a hearing like Russian courts. Have you ever seen Russian courts where they have somebody in a glass and they're giving them a hearing? You think they get a fair hearing in a Russian court? You think they get a fair hearing in a Tennessee court when the government comes after you because you speak out against them and you're telling the truth about things? No, they won't give you a fair hearing. They're dirtbags. In America, they're supposed to be able to. Our rights under the Constitution is to freedom of speech. Freedom of speech doesn't mean freedom to speak what they want to hear. Freedom of speech protects speech that they don't want to hear, as long as it's not violent. And I haven't said anything violent, never have, never will. I'm saying to vote, but they don't want me to do that, because I'm saying to vote the dirtbags out of office. Let's get across the road here before we get run over. So we're talking about state violence. Now, Jeffrey Ward. Talk about Mr. Jeffrey Ward sitting there on the board. Let's see how many people I got in here. We'll finish our story about him at the end of the video. We'll talk about Major Stacy Heatherly, THPP. Maybe send a copy of this video to THPP, since their internal investigation unit has got a complaint, a narrative of what their major is doing. She was a captain when I complained about one issue, and then they promoted her to major. So if you stand up against them saying, no, you're wrong, this person, they'll promote them. They promote liars and thugs and thieves. And that's the truth. So let's see how many people I got. We'll finish the narrative, and then I'll tell you about, if we have time, about Major Stacy Heatherly. If not, we'll do it tomorrow. But stay tuned, because we're going to get to this stuff, some interesting stuff. Great show for you this morning. Charles Van Morgan in the morning. Thank you all for joining me. We're going to try to break 34,000 people. Get this message out, and we'll tell you how we're going to deal with this with a social movement. I'm not just talking off the top of my head. I've got an education in sociology. I know a little bit about what to do about this stuff. Nonviolent movements that take people's power back. Let's see how many people we got. May answer a few questions, and we'll continue this dialogue. Thank you for watching Charles Van Morgan in the morning. Great show. And let's see and answer some questions here. Sue Eyes, let's see, behind you, Shields behind you, John 3:16, that's right. Russell Lankster said hi. Calling your rights amount to right this way. All the way is money. Are you? No, I don't need it. Sorry, yeah. She wants to know if I want to catch the bus. Lisa talking like that. No, I'm trying to get across the road here. Here we go. Yeah, the bus driver wants to know if I'm trying to catch the bus. No, I'm filming live YouTube. So I don't see any questions on here. So we will continue. Tax dollars go to the DF. That's right. Yeah, they do. And man, we got over 100 people in here. We can't be whiteballing. I don't even know what that means. Seek the Lord while he may be found. Call him while he is near. That's right. Amen. I believe that. I believe that. Sorry for your loss. Hopefully Dad has been with you in his spirit throughout your life. That's right. Hey, I appreciate your sympathy. Jesus saves. Amen. Did you eat one of those? Well, I don't know what they're talking about. Some of y'all put stuff in here. Boycott Walmart. Okay, yeah, we didn't read that one. Okay. All right. Let's continue the dialogue here. And again, I'm trying not to get runned over. Let's turn the light on here. Charles Van Morgan in the morning. So, got my umbrella with me in case it starts raining. Call for rain today, but we get out here rain or shine. So let's talk about Jeffrey Ward. Now, he denied me my law license, say I wasn't candid, and they had to prove that you left something out with intent to defraud them, something significant. I didn't leave anything out in my application. Didn't leave a damn thing out. And my school, Nashville School of Law, wouldn't even help me get my law license. They sure got my money. I went to law school for years, paid them a lot of money to go to law school, and they wouldn't even go and tell about what kind of student I was. I was top in my class because it was a former Supreme Court justice that went to speak on behalf of another Supreme Court justice trying to help him get elected. So he's willing to back up power, but he's not willing to back up one of his students that sat in his classroom for 4 years. He's not willing to do that. Dean Koch at Nashville School of Law. What a sorry man you are. Have somebody sit in your classroom for 4 years, and then when they having trouble getting their law license because of state government people in power corruption, you want him to go and help them, or send anybody to go with them to help them get their law license when they didn't even do anything wrong, when they were risking their life to protect you. Rose out of an incident when they were not a citizen, they were in the government doing their job. What a dirtbag you are, Dean Koch. What a sorry man. But he went to try to help another Supreme Court justice. At the same time, try to help a Supreme Court justice get elected. So he'll help out people in power, people that rob you of your money. But one of his students that sat in his classroom that didn't have a lot of political power, didn't have any political clout, that had been wrongly defamed by the government. No, he won't help me. Yeah, what a piece of dirt he is. And they stand for truth and justice. I mean, that's your Tennessee Supreme Court. They steal money from all over the United States of America. If I were you, I would be upset. Now, don't be violent toward them, but I would be upset about the Tennessee judiciary. They steal your money in California, Texas, and I'll explain to you. I've explained it before how they steal your federal student loan tax money. So I sat in this classroom for 4 years, called them, and they wouldn't help me. And you said, well, they don't have to. Well, the incident that rose out of me not getting my law license was an incident where I was out on the road, risking my life, could have been killed. 3 other officers in 2011 were killed in high-speed pursuits. And protecting the public, and the state lied on me. Major Stacey Heather lied on me that's continued to do stuff that's crooked as hell. I mean, I got evidence right here. But that doesn't matter. That's not what their courts are for. Their courts are to convict you even if you're not guilty of anything, to take your money in civil forfeiture civilly. And if they do something to steal your money, then they're set up to allow them to do that. To allow them to take your money, allow them to take your rights. That's what courts are in the state of Tennessee. So yeah, let's watch out. That's what courts are for in the state of Tennessee. And not only do they mistreat Tennesseans, they mistreat people all over the United States by stealing your federal student loan money. So, you know, and that's the truth. They don't want me to say that. That's why they might take me off YouTube, because they want to do it secretly. They don't want everybody to know about what they're doing, how dirty they are. But I stand here today without my law license, not disgruntled. I don't want them to turn down you for your law license if you go through their law school and won't kiss the ring. I don't want them to steal your money in California or Texas or Arizona or New Mexico or Idaho or Utah or New York or Wyoming, all of the United States. I don't want them to steal your money from Tennessee. That's crooked as hell. And that's what they do. But Judge Koch wouldn't go with me. And you say, well, they don't have to. Well, they had a lady on my first day of class at Nashville School of Law that said that they brought her in to speak to the class, and they were trying to tell people if something happens while you're in law school, to tell the law school about it, and tell the dean, report it, because they need to know. And if you do that, then they can report it to the ethical part of the Board of Law Examiners, so you can still get your law license to work with you, so you don't just lose your time in school. And they had a lady that was arrested for drunk driving. She was there speaking with the other dean, the previous dean. Now, this wasn't Dean Koch, this was another dean. Then they got the dirtbag Koch in there. This is what Dean Koch did later. Now, she was saying that she had got arrested for drunk driving. Now, I was trying to arrest somebody drunk driving. I wasn't drunk driving, wasn't doing anything wrong. She was doing something wrong. She shouldn't have done that. In law school in her last year. And she didn't report it to the law school. And she went to get her law license after she passed the bar exam, and they had a show cause hearing like me. They had a show cause hearing because she got arrested for drunk driving. They had a show cause hearing for me, where I stood in front of Mr. Jeffrey Ward, because I was out arresting people for drunk driving, not doing anything wrong, because the state government lied on me. I was doing the right thing. She done something wrong. And they were dragging me into their drunk driving stuff, like Stacey Heatherly calling a trooper to pick her up at Calhoun's on the river here in Knoxville because she's too drunk to drive, and her husband and their friends, and they still keep their position in the Highway Patrol, even though they used your state money as a taxi. But that doesn't matter. So she was talking about that, about how to report stuff to the school, and she said she was a lawyer because the school went with her to the Board of Law Examiners show cause hearing and spoke on her behalf and helped her get her law license, even though she failed to report her drunk driving to the law school, which she's supposed to do. She failed to, and I think she even failed to report to the Board of Law Examiners. And the law school, the other dean, not Dean Koch, Dean Koch the dope, he wasn't the dean then. They had a decent dean then, one that was a great man. And she got her law license. So she was saying report stuff to the school, and we'll help you get your law license. I went and finished 4 years, and I'll tell you what they did to me. Let me see how many people got in here. Thank y'all for listening. We're talking about state government violence, and we're getting there. If we have time, we're going to talk about some stuff we paid for to get information from the state government to prove about Major Stacey Heather and her corruption, and may even send a link to THPP investigators, show them, hey, you might not do nothing about it, but the world knows. The world knows. That's part of the social movement tactic. Let's see if it works. I don't know. If something happens to my video, catch me on Telegram. They don't like me speaking the truth to power, but I'm doing it for your protection. So let's see how many people got on here. Okay, got almost 200. Thank you. North Dakota here. Yeah, let's go down to the bottom. Yeah, well, if you think that, you're wrong. You believe fairy tale. Okay. Okay, let's finish the story. Now, they gave me a show cause hearing because they said I didn't report my termination from the Highway Patrol. Now, that's not true. What they're saying is you reported it, but we're blackballing you because of that. Because I did report it. Absolutely, positively did report it to the school. Before I had to transfer schools. On my application to Nashville School of Law, I reported that I was terminated wrongfully from the Tennessee Highway Patrol. And Michelle encouraged me to go. And I didn't even think they'd accept me. It's on my application to the other dean, and they accepted me in the Nashville School of Law to law school. So I went, slept in my van, didn't have a lot of money, trying to carve out a life. You know, you work hard and sacrifice, you can get ahead in life. No, you can't. People in government power got a boot on your neck, and they won't let you get up no matter what you do. That's the problem. Not how hard people work, it's how hard they work against you with our government power using it illegitimately. So they helped lady that was arrested for drunk driving, that didn't report it to the law school. Here, I reported it to the law school. I reported it on my application. They accepted me in the law school knowing that I was wrongly terminated from the Tennessee Highway Patrol. Now, I thought at that time, which I've been educated out, people want you to walk in front of their moving car. That's not going to happen. But I thought at the time, I had faith in the system. I thought if you got proof, and it's obvious I didn't do anything wrong, obvious as hell I didn't do anything wrong, I thought that the system would work. They even got mad at me because I contested their falsehoods. If you contest their falsehoods, they even make it worse on you. That's how crooked these people are. You have no right. You have a right to shut up and do what they tell you to. That's what they think you have a right to do. But see, they don't understand. I was contesting their lies then. And just because they get their lies through a rogue courtroom, take my job and my law license, doesn't mean I'm going to stop contesting their lies. A lie is a lie, and the truth matters. Doesn't matter who it is that lies, who's in power. A lie still is a lie. And I believe that, you have to pray, keep marching forward, that it matters. And I'm doing this just like I was when I was a trooper protecting the public. I'm doing this to protect the public because their court systems don't work for you. They're rogue, illegitimate, dirty liars that steal your money and put you in jail wrongfully. So they sent me a letter saying I had to come before the Board of Law Examiners because I didn't fill out my application right, which is a lie. They said I wasn't candid. And I didn't leave anything out. And even if I did, under federal law, these are lawyers, supposed to be a legal court proceeding. You're supposed to prove that I left something out with intent to deceive. That's federal case law. They didn't prove that. They don't have to prove it. They don't have to prove anything in their courtrooms. Their courtrooms are just set up to put you through the motion. So we can say we gave him a show cause hearing. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. In the last hearing, they asked me to say that. Do you feel like you've had a fair hearing? And I said, well, if I've had a fair hearing, I will get my law license because I did the same thing you all did. I went to law school, paid my money, graduated, passed the bar, and I'm an honest person, haven't lied about anything. So, I don't know what you're going to do. I know that I should get my law license. Even the attorney that did the preliminary investigation said, I believe that if you go to law school, graduate, pass the bar exam, that'll give you your law license. And we're not even talking about it. They can't even accuse me of any crime. They're saying, oh, you left something minor out, which I didn't even do that. That's how their courts work. The show cause hearing was set up to have a semblance of we gave them a hearing. No, you didn't. You gave me a joke that has left me still without a law license. And then they promote Lisa Perlin as one of them. So that's a dirtbag liar that lied on me. So I went to the hearing, and they told me after I got done testifying, and I guess they wanted me to say that I seen that wreck and drove past it. I'm so sorry. No, I didn't. I'm not saying that. Didn't do it. And the law school wouldn't go with me. Dean Koch wouldn't go with me. They will go with a drunk driver that lied, but they won't go with somebody that was trying to protect the public that didn't lie about anything. But he'll go to his Supreme Court justices' campaigns to try to help him get elected. But it's all about protecting people in power. That's how Dean Koch is. Yeah, you feel good about that, Dean Koch? 350,000 people, you're a dirtbag. You ought to be ashamed of yourself. I had to sleep in my van, spent 4 years at your dirty law school where Judge Clement graduated from. Let me talk about that. And we'll get to Mr. Ward, Jeffrey Ward, the violent man that he is, in just a minute. But Mr. Clement Jr., now he graduated from the same law school as I did, Nashville School of Law, got a degree from there. The difference, I'll tell you about the difference between me and him. He graduated with honors. I was top in my class. He advertises for that law school. Clement Jr. advertises for that law school. He not only graduated from the law school, he advertises for the law school. They're so proud of him. He's so much better than me. And I'll tell you why in just a minute. And he not only graduated from law school, He got the position. He's a highfalutin, such a respectable individual, Mr. Clement Jr., that he is on the Board of Appeals, the Tennessee Court of Appeals. Got it promoted to the Court of Criminal Appeals in the state of Tennessee. Before you know it, if he keeps backing up the state government, state power, illegitimately, that is. I know he's a rogue judge. He will probably be a Supreme Court justice, get your money from California after he retires and teaches in your law schools. Judge Clement Jr., I graduated, got the same degree, got past the same bar. Mine was probably a little harder because it was later. And I can't get my law license. You say, what's the difference? Well, you drove past the wreckage shop. No, I didn't. That's a lie. He was never on the road, never did anything for public safety. The difference is, who's your daddy? See, Clement Jr., his daddy is Clement Sr., the former Tennessee governor. And had I been the governor's son, see, my dad died. My dad died in a car wreck before I was 2 years old. His daddy was a governor. So, of course, the governor's boy gets moved to the Tennessee Court of Appeals, the criminal that he is that decides for the governor every time. I brought my case before him. I brought my case before him with facts and evidence that I didn't see that wreck with their own witness. And Judge Clement bragged on himself. And in the hearing, you can hear it, they've got it recorded, and ruled in favor of the state government keeping my job away from me. But a drunk driver that failed to report has their law license, drunk troopers on the road driving patrol cars, and who's your daddy? And a colonel that his daddy was a former captain in THP. It's who's your daddy. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter about working hard and doing what you're supposed to do. These people have a boot on your neck all across the United States, stealing your money. Rogue courts aren't legitimate. They don't honor the Constitution. And in effect, they're stepping over soldiers' blood that fought and died for our rights. The First Amendment, the Second Amendment, the Fourth Amendment, put people in jail wrongfully. That's what they do in the state of Tennessee. So you can vote Republican, Democrat, all you want. Neither one of them's going to work for you. Neither one is going to work. We need to vote these people out of power. I would suggest you vote for an independent, maybe me, I don't know. But we're going to get to Jeffrey Ward. And while I was trying to get my law license, in front of the board with Jeffrey Ward sitting there, them telling me I wasn't candid. And I took it. I thought maybe I'd get my law license. But I didn't admit to a lie. I was under oath, swearing to tell the truth. The judge is there. Barbara Zulica was sitting there, looking right at me, questioning me about me not reporting about that I'd got terminated from the highway patrol. And I did report that. That's a lie. She's a liar. And questioned me about that, me having to answer to them calling me pretty much a dirty, deceitful person, which I'm not. She was committing a felony of deceit, dishonesty, and infamous crime, and she adjudicated that I'm not candid. While she's a felon, but she's not a felon anymore because she works for the government, and they took it off her record. So that's what you have. But if you commit a felony, they'll keep it on your record. That's what these people in the Tennessee Board of Law Examiners, and they put judges, licensed judges, they license attorneys that'll go in and lie for them dirtbags. And this is the attorney. When you're sitting in a courtroom, you have an attorney that's approved by Barbara Zulica, who's a liar. She doesn't care if you're honest. She cares if you will back her up. And she got prosecuted, but it wasn't state authorities that prosecuted her. It was federal authorities that prosecuted Barbara Zulica. The criminal saw a felon, a convicted felon, convicted felon, an infamous crime, a crime of deceit that's hard to protect, that's hard to detect, denied me my law license. And I have committed no crime. Now, they've accused me of civil offenses, but civil offenses go through their dirty judges. You don't have a right to a jury. So that's easy for one of their dirty judges to say, yeah, you're guilty, and then they get $6 in their pocket for every head they find guilty that goes in their retirement. So what a rigged system we got here. Y'all want to take that stuff off these dirt bags, or do you want to fight back? And I'll tell you how to fight back. I got a little education in sociology. Social movements that fight for change for the public good against these creeps in power. and one way is to vote. So Mr. Jeffrey Ward, that dirtbag was sitting on the board. They told me, they lied to me. They said, okay, you go back out in the hearing. And I even had witnesses talk about what a good job I did. Even had letters from people with the highway patrol that knew, that were retired so they wouldn't get in trouble, that knew. Had letters from officers that knew that I didn't see that wreck because they've been in similar circumstances. But they didn't care. It's not about the truth. It has nothing to do with the truth. You think I'll go in here, and that's what I used to think, and you'll go in here to their courtrooms and go in here to people in power in the government, and they'll listen, they'll understand, they're good people. No, they're not. They're set up, and they got power by lying to you, and they want your money, and they want your power, and they could care less about you. In fact, they don't want you here. And if you ain't got nothing for them, they want you gone, and they'll do whatever it takes to get rid of you, whether it's taking your medical insurance when you're an older adult, which, I mean, I'm just saying, you figure it out. Closing hospital down so people can't get medical care in the state of Tennessee. You know, social movements start because of strain, which is a major social problem, a major problem, not by people in power. They're not under any strain. They got our money to buy their best medical care you can get. I'm telling you, the economy is going to hell, and it's going to get worse because of Governor High Bills Lee and Governor Has-Been. He's not really has-been, he's still the governor now. And it's going to get worse. And all over the world, is your government, people in power, working for you? I got some means and measures to get rid of them. So Jeffrey Ward was on the board. And they told me, they lied to me. They said, we will give you an answer. Go back out and we're going to confer and we'll decide whether or not what we're going to do. So that's what they told me. I went out and waited. And then I came back in. They said, we'll mail you a letter. We're going to let you know later. We haven't decided yet. So they even lied to me. Why can't you make up your mind? This is an easy case. I wasn't a drunk driver arrested that lied about drunk driving. I was a trooper out on the road that risked my life for public safety for you. Troopers got killed doing that the same year. I survived it. And now y'all going to try to, you done took my job and my medical insurance, not away from me, but away from my family. And now y'all going to do your little dirty deed, just a little hard for you to do, ain't it? So I left, and what do you know? Their little fake board hearing with a convicted felon of deceit, an infamous crime, said, no, you weren't candid in the hearing. We're denying you your law license. Wow. Hey, that's the government. And you know what? Why that matters to you? That matters to you because of the fact that I can't represent you in their dirty courts. You're talking about a lawyer. I could have had a law license. I got an advanced education in sociology. They license other attorneys. They aren't nowhere near as qualified. They don't understand the social forces behind crime and that crime is a social construct. It doesn't necessarily have a lot to do sometimes with public safety, and they're the biggest criminals that cause the worst harm, people in government power. And I was agreeing to go along with their rules of professional conduct. I hadn't run down the state government people in state government power at that time, because I didn't know how dirty they were. I knew they were dirty, but I didn't know the extent of the public corruption, their little elite, their little oligarchy that does whatever to stay in power. But we can bust that power up. All over the world, we can bust the government power up, not by violence, by other measures and voting. So they sent me the letter, and what do you know? It was on Valentine's Day. They sent me a no letter, wiping out 4 years of law school, passing the bar exam. It's very difficult. You got to study for 6 months to a year to pass it. Wiping all that out. Send it to me on Valentine's Day. They're showing me they don't love me. They hate me. Why? Because I'm trying to make a living, go to law school, defend people in their courts. I was at the top of my class because they're dirty thugs. You're a dirty piece of dirt, Dean Coke. And that's how they sniper you. Not with a gun, but take your hard work, dedication away from you, your medical insurance, your job, your livelihood, and demean you where it's hard for you to get a job anywhere else. And they'll do it, and they did it to you too. That's how dirtbag these thugs are. And if people think I'm disgruntled, it's not disgruntled, it's telling the truth. Oh, if you speak out against people that have damaged you and are still damaging people to stay, these dirtbags are still in power, you're disgruntled. No, you're not. You're protecting your land. You're doing what needs to be done that you won't hear nowhere else. So, Mr. Ward, now let's get into what that dirtbag did. Yeah, now they say I'm dishonest. They're violent. They're violent people. These people in government are violent. You know, like that sniper, they're violent in a roundabout way and similarly. You know, I don't know what kind of weapon Mr. Ward had, but so they damaged me. Took my job, and I was still trying to go forward, make a living, be a lawyer to defend the public. I was going to be a criminal defense lawyer with a Master of Arts from one of their major universities, University of Tennessee, in sociology. You know, I was impressed yesterday reading a book about social movements. You can self-educate. You read about social movements, how to fight the dirty people in power legitimately, and the successful measures that help and the ones that don't, by doing research on past stuff, reading other people's research on what they found. All these people that wrote that book, they were thanking them about social movements, organizations, tactics, and strategies. And all those people, the people that wrote the book were thanking, they talked about what university they graduated from. University of Chicago in their name, and University of Chicago, University of Melbourne, all kinds of different universities. You know, probably 10, 20, 30 people's names. All of them graduated from a university. They're proud of that's credentials to have graduated from a university. And you can be self-taught, I get it. There's some dumb people that graduated from universities. But they look into circumstances, look into stuff, do research, and think about stuff. Even medical doctors. Would you go to have heart surgery with a person that hadn't been to a university, that hadn't been trained? No. So a university, people that study stuff, people that do, you know, learn about the heart, learn about how to do surgery, and all the technicians and stuff around them, they're trained in universities and colleges. So you have to admit that university and college education is valuable. And I know Charlie Kirk ran them down. You can be self-educated. That's true. And if you are, God bless you. My mother was one of the smartest people I knew that didn't have an education. But if you got an education, it is a certification that you do know somewhat about what you're talking about. And all those people that wrote that book talked about their education, where they were educated in, what field of study. They studied sociology. They did sociological studies. They did research, tested. And so they knew what they were talking about. So I have a Master of Arts in Sociology with an emphasis in criminology from the University of Tennessee. You know, I agree with a lot about what Mr. Kirk says, but hey, I know a little bit about sociology, Mr. Kirk. God rest your soul. And I agree with most of what you said, but you were 31, you weren't 61. And you had a few things to learn about society and stuff. And I'm not criticizing him. He had a lot of good things to say, but he had some stuff that wasn't right, wasn't correct. And you know, he's entitled to his view, but not 100%. He wasn't Jesus. And he shouldn't have been killed. He was a martyr, and I agree with his Christian values. But you know, and I've learned a few things, not just my education from the University of Tennessee. In life, I've learned a few things living. I've learned how dirty the government is. People in government power are dirty. We're the government, we're not dirty. We just need to get our government. So Mr. Ward denied me my law license on Valentine's Day. Wow. Yeah, I mean, you just send somebody on Valentine's Day a letter that wipes out 4 years of work. wipes out their hard study for the bar exam. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's how they do you. Oh, they do it with insult. And they're wicked people. They're wicked people. Mr. Ward's a wicked man. You're a wicked man, Mr. Ward. He's a lawyer to this day. The lady that committed a felony of dishonesty is a lawyer today. Committed a felony, admitted to it, doesn't even have it on the record. Isn't that amazing how that works? See, I know a little bit of that because of sociology. The rich get richer and the poor get prison. And the rich get richer off your money and get out of crimes that they committed and get it off the record and still get to vote. And you go to jail when you didn't even commit a crime a lot of times, and they take the power to vote away from you. It's all about backing up the system. You get out and have a YouTube channel. The government is great. Everybody in power is great. Vote for Republicans, Democrats, and hey, they might leave you alone unless they need you for a sacrifice. You get out and tell the truth about stuff, they'll try to damage you. But it needs to be done for public safety. You leave a drunk driver on the road, they'll leave you alone. They'll run into themselves. And it's a misnomer that drunk drivers only kill other people. They usually say, I worked a lot of wrecks where drunk drivers killed themselves. But if you try to get them out of the car and put them in jail, they'll try to fight you. So these people are trying to fight me. I'm fighting them because they're dirty in a civilized manner. So what Mr. Ward did, and we'll get to that, and we'll conclude that almost to the bridge, show you some pictures and evidence, and I'll tell you what Mr. Ward did. I'll tell you what I did and what Mr. Ward did. Because I'm not, now you listen to this, I'm not a toy. People in state power, I'm not a toy. I'm not a toy. God's on my side. I won't fear what man can do to me. If I do something wrong, I pray about it and ask God to correct me. I ask God to lead, guide, and direct me, and He does. And I got a right to speak out against it. If you don't like it, don't listen to it. Or I ask you to listen to it anyway, because I think you're stupid. And I'm about to tear you up. And I am. So we'll tell you what Mr. Ward did. Let's see how many people I got on here. Talk about his violence. We're talking about people in power, their crookedness, their corruption, thievery, and their violence. You know, like the sniper in a surreptitious roundabout way, same difference, causes an early death. So let's see how many people got on here, and we'll finish about Mr. Ward. So yeah, 100 people. So that's good. So we've been going almost an hour now. I'd like to keep this show to a little bit over an hour. We'll talk about stuff later. We're almost to the bridge. So Mr. Jeffrey Ward turned me down on Valentine's Day. Didn't have a real hearing for me. And didn't want to tell me to my face that he's a dirtbag. So I got a email. I kept up with Tennessee courts, their case law, because if you keep up with case law, you know what they've decided in the past. And when you have a case, when you're a lawyer, of course they wouldn't let me be one. When you're a lawyer, you can look at those cases and argue in court, hey, this is what you did in this case under these similar facts, you know, and they'll usually, a lot of times you argue they did the same thing. And the other side gets another case that might have done the opposite thing. Say, well, in this case, these are similar facts and you did what we want you to do. And then your argument is, well, those aren't similar facts. That's what lawyers do. They argue, that's arguing case law. And I know how to do that. I did that well. The problem is the case law is on my favor. And also the Constitution's in my favor. It's a freedom of speech. And the Constitution that they trample all over. So I got an email from the state courts because I signed up on their email list. And I was doing it to listen to the case law. And I got an email also. They had email court news. And they emailed me a email that said that they were interviewing candidates for a positional promotion, a judicial position for a court in Tennessee. You know, these judges get promoted based on if they tell the truth, no. Based on if they back the Constitution, no. That had anything to do with that. They're real good at stepping all over the Constitution and wording it and lying about it. They don't give a rat's, you know what, about the Constitution. They give a damn about their money and their power. So they were having promotion interviews for judges, and these are the people that lie best for the Governor Bill Lee, because he's the one that promotes judges. And if you rule in his favor, if you lie in his favor, you get promoted. If you won't lie in his favor, if you're back to the Constitution, you might lose your job as a judge. You won't get promoted. That's the Christian governor. Yeah, you know how you tell people you're honest. Hey, I'm honest. You know, oh wait a minute. Say you're a Christian. Yeah. Okay, I'm a Christian. I'm a good Christian. What happened to your wife on the farm? I don't know. Just saying. I don't know. I don't know what happened, but I sure would wish they'd investigate that. But I mean, I don't know. But that's a question that needs to be asked. Other governors have killed people. I think it was Ray Blanton, they claim now after he's dead, and it doesn't matter, said he killed somebody. So I'm just saying. But anyway, the governor promotes judges. But Mr. Jeffrey Ward's name was on a list of people that were going to be interviewed for a judicial position. Now, he had already lied for the governor, keeping my law license away from me. Lied for Governor Bill Has-Been. He's the one that actually took my job away from me with the State Highway Patrol. And then he was the governor in 2019 that kept me from getting my law license. So if you back up the governor, you keep your foot on Charles Van Morgan's neck and keep your foot on Tennessean's neck. He can't defend you in a courtroom defending the Constitution. We won't give him a law license. Then we might, you know, I'm going to get promoted. I've stepped all over Charles Van Morgan, stepped all over the Constitution. I'm not worried about the bodies, the people, the soldiers like Patrick Fitzgibbon that died for the Constitution, that fought in wars to protect our way of life. I want my money and my power. I'm Jeffrey Ward, a lawyer that backs up the polity, keeps the legitimacy of the illegitimate government. I'm just telling you how it works. You say, well, that doesn't work. It works for them well. There's a well-oiled machine. That's corruption and power, illegitimate people in government power. And we can fight them. So I'm telling you my little truth here. So I got that email, and it's got his name on a list of people to be interviewed. And I'm a fighter. I fight back. I don't give a damn who you are. I'm going to tell you the truth. You know, Sun Tzu, I try to do it carefully. But you're not getting by with running over me. Remember Lowell Russell? Hey, Lowell, how you doing, buddy? Hey, you're not my buddy. You're a thug. You're an embarrassment to the legislature. Remember you calling me and I asked you if I could speak, Lowell? And we're going to get in about Jeffrey Ward. Remember? Because in the Highway Patrol, it's a semi-military organization. He came from Nashville to take over being a supervisor. He was on the road for maybe 3 or 4 months before he got the leading trooper in the State Highway Patrol, lied on him, raised the fatality rate, and got himself hurt. Came out of internal affairs from an office, worked the road for 2 or 3 months, and raised the fatality rate and got himself injured. That's how dangerous. Now he's a state legislator without any education, without any knowledge. That's kind of embarrassing. Kick people out of the legislature that had children killed in that shooting in Nashville. Real tough, brave man you are, ain't you? You dirty thug. 350,000 people have heard me, Lowell. How you like it? I fight. And I'll keep fighting you with the truth, because you're a dirty liar. So you and your brother both, Cronyism gets gets promoted. So anyway, got that email from the judiciary. I was signed up on their list, court news and cases. Try to be an attorney, and we'll use it in another way. It's a little inside information. So he was going to be interviewed for a judicial position, him and several other people, at the Howard Baker Center for Public Policy. You know, where they do the little politic stuff, and he was going to be interviewed by their board of judicial promotions, you know, set up by the governor for the governor. Which one of you is going to back up the governor more? Which one of you cares more about the governor and his power, his legitimacy, the power of the Republican Party in Tennessee, than even go against Donald J. Trump? than you do about the truth and people's rights and the Constitution that soldiers have fought for. Who has got the guts to step all over the Constitution? I mean, you got to be brave to be in our illegitimate pile of dung, you know, and it's hard to do. I guess it's hard for some of them judges to stomach. You know, I want my paycheck, and I want my extra house. They already got 2 or 3 houses. I want my extra house. I want to support my 5 kids so they can go to the strip joints. And I'll tell you about that, Mr. Harbison. Yeah, Harbison, one of the worst professors at Nashville School of Law. I'll tell you about him in just a minute. We'll throw his name in there, how they support prostitution in the judiciary. Yeah, I said that. That's the truth. I'll tell you how. So we're talking about Jeffrey Ward, the thug that he is now. I got that email that says he's going to be interviewed at the Howard Baker Center. Now, I wouldn't have went there. I might have went there to protest out on the sidewalk. But the letter said, the email said, and this is pretty good. I loved it. It said, public comment is welcome. Public comment's welcome. That's what they said. So I'm like, oh my. What a surprise. What a present. Public comment is welcome. See, they're used to going in there, people fearing the judiciary and praising these people to high heaven. Public comment welcome. Well. So a judge that turned me down for my law license, that was sitting right beside a criminal and gave a drunk driver their law license, was going to be interviewed right down here in Knoxville at the Howard Baker Center for Public Policy before the Judicial Promotion Board, along with several other judges. And my public comment was welcome, so I could go down there and wait and stand up when it's time for public comment and comment about him. And I was going to say good stuff about him, right? No, I was going to tell him the truth about him. He denied me my law license illegitimately. And I was going to go down there and tell him about that. I don't think he ought to be a judge anywhere. When he was a judge, look what he did. Hey, I'm not afraid of these people. And it said public comment's welcome. You'd think I was too afraid to go down there. So let me tell you, God works in mysterious ways, doesn't he? So I marked the date on my calendar. I'm not going to go be violent. I'm going to go in there, make my public comment. They said it was welcome. That's what they said, wasn't it? Yeah. What they meant was, they don't want to say this because it shows the thuggishness and the violation of the First Amendment. Positive comments are welcome. If you got anything truthful to say that might detract and point out to the judiciary that's promoting why they shouldn't be, you keep your damn mouth shut and get the hell out of here. They don't want you to know that. So I'll go down there. I know it'd be a hostile environment. I'm not intending to cause a scene. I'm intending to go down there and tell them I don't think that man ought to be a judge. I didn't do anything wrong, and he's denied me my law license, denied me the opportunity to defend hundreds of Tennesseans, to keep them out of jail, to honor the Constitution and defends people's constitutional rights, to tell people that they should insist on a hearing instead of pleading guilty when they have committed a crime, instead of listening to peer pressure from people. You know, attorneys are double agents. And to fight for people's rights. That's what I intended to do with the education, knowing how to do it. I intended to tell those people that the man applying for the judgeship, Jeffrey Ward, should not be given that job, that he was an honest man, that he shouldn't have his law license, that he sat right beside a convicted felon that's not even a felon because it's wiped off his record, because y'all wiped it off the record. But see, they won't let you say that. You say, well, yeah, they will. They're going to let the public comment. So I went in there and waited. He walked by me and smiled real big, didn't even remember me. They step all over you and they don't even remember who you are. You're nothing. They didn't remember me. Sat right before him asking for my law license, brought evidence. respectful toward them. It don't matter. It don't matter. The governor didn't want me to have my law license. Has been once got his name on this university I graduated from. The dirty thug that steals your money. So I went down there, sat down there and waited. It was in the morning. And remember I pulled up, seen an officer, and I said, is this where they're having the judiciary promotions? He was on out, and he was just patrolling. Yeah, I think that's usually where they do. So I went in there, he left, and Jeffrey Ward walked past me, smiled real big, didn't even remember who I was. You know, and cause like I said, they don't know who you are, they don't care. You're nothing to them. And sat down, waited. And they interviewed a couple people, asked them a few questions. And then they called Jeffrey Ward. Jeffrey Ward came, and I said, okay, may I make a public comment? And what do you know? You think they let me make a public comment? They said public comments are welcome. No, of course not. The time for public comments is over. Yeah, why not? Why? But they knew what it was about. They knew the business. So Jeffrey Ward saw me, and bingo, it kicked in who I was. And I guess it made him mad, me going to speak out against him. I left. They wouldn't let me speak out against him. They said public comment was welcome. It wasn't welcome. I could tell that I wasn't going to say something positive about him. I was going to tell the truth. They don't want the truth. They want you to legitimize them in power so they can steal your money, so they can help Dean Koch campaign for the Supreme Court justices that trample all over the Constitution. They're dirty people. Yeah, how about your legacy, Dean Koch? I graduated from your law school. Let me show you my degree. It means nothing because you're a thug. Yeah, he made a ruling. He made a ruling about substantial relationships, that a case should be tried in a place where there's a substantial relationship to the injury. Well, Mr. Koch, there's a substantial relationship to the injury. I went to your law school. I know you, and I know you're a thug. And I hope your legacy in the Tennessee Supreme Court shows that. And I'm out here telling people that. So anyway, that's not the end of the story about Mr. Ward. You say, well, that's all that happened. He's not violent. He didn't smile at you after you stood up and asked him to make a public comment when they called his name. No, he didn't. But that's not all he did. Listen to this. Let me finish the story about violent Jeffrey Ward. So, and I'm not afraid of him. He ain't very smart, because evidently he ain't afraid of me. He should be. Let's see how many people got in here. Yeah, 163. Where are you from? I'm from Knoxville, Tennessee. So yeah, okay. So here's what Mr. Jeffrey Ward did. Now, I was driving a taxi. That's how I have to make a living. I have a JD and have to drive a taxi. Even though I went through 3 law enforcement training academies, graduated, have awards for my abilities in law enforcement. I was a drug recognition expert, a Master of Arts in criminology, but I drive a taxi because the state government's got their boot on my neck saying I'm not worthy of anything, using state power to defame me, even though I'm more qualified than they are. And that's why we're out here starting this social movement. But so I was driving a taxi, stopped at a red light on Gay Street, right down here in front of a hotel. Right after that evening, after I stood up and was going to make a public comment about Jeffrey Ward that they wouldn't let me make. They won't let you speak out against these people, even though they invite you, because what they're lying to you. What they're saying is public comment is welcome, because we want to act like we're open to all comments, good or bad. No, they're not. They're open to any comment that legitimizes their illegitimacy. So I'm driving down Gay Street that night, stop at a red light in front of a hotel down here, real fancy hotel. He's got a lot of money to stay in fancy hotels and apply for judgeships, and he might get them because he stomps over the Constitution and rules in favor of the governor, and the governor promotes people. I mean, I can show you the line straight up. When you lie for the governor, go all the way to the appeals court. It ain't about the truth. It's about backing up illegitimate people in our government power that infiltrate our government. So I'm stopped at that red light and look over to my right. on Gay Street here in Knoxville, one of these fancy hotels, and I see Mr. Ward walking down the sidewalk. It's the same night where he seen me stand up in that meeting. He remembered who I was. And he is mad as hell. Well, you better put on your glad pants. I don't like you. I got a reason. I got a right to have my opinion and my views, which are the truth. You know, just because people aren't powerful doesn't mean they're powerless. So yeah, I went down there to their little robe meeting that they lied about, didn't allow public comments. Thought I got up and said, Jeffrey Ward is a great man, may I make comments about him? Yeah, they'd let me speak. They won't let you speak about the truth, that he hurt a lot of people, because they probably incarcerate a lot of people because I can't defend them in their courtrooms. And you know, this is important. I was going to be a lawyer for people to fight them in these courtrooms for their rights to uphold the Constitution. But they won't let you do that. They won't give me a law license. They gave law license to a convicted felon that still has them, that was on the board, that denied me. This isn't stuff I'm making up. Look into it. Barbara Zulica. That's what they do in Tennessee. They steal your money. So I seen him there at the red light. Now, it's one thing to deny somebody's law license. It's another thing to do what he did. Now, he's sadly mistaken in what he did. He's a damn fool. He's a damn fool. Now, here's what he did. Sitting there at the red light in my taxi. That's the only way I can make a living. I'm just out making a living. I just went to a public hearing. I'm not doing anything wrong. They are. So I'm sitting there at the red light, and I seen Jeffrey Ward out of the corner of my eye. Must be a little bit like that wreck. And I looked closer. I wasn't in no pursuit, you know. I looked closer. Let's put this umbrella down. It ain't raining now. I looked a little closer. And what do you know? Jeffrey Ward. And he's mad as hell. I'm stopped at the red light, and he comes marching toward my van. Starts, you know, almost at a run, real fast toward my van. And, you know, like I think he was going to attack me. And he would have lied about it. I would have defended myself. He would have, the Knoxville Police Department, they would have took his side, you know, because he's a board of judiciary judge, and he's a powerful man. He knows the governor and knows, yeah, and they would have, you know, they flipped it on me. But I'm not a violent person. And he about got to my van, and the light turned green. And I'm not going to sit there in the road and wait to fight some dumbass. You know, if he'd have kept chasing me, grab my van door or something, you know, but he wouldn't like what he called. But the violent, dangerous man's trying to chase me down on a city street while I'm driving a taxi, while he's got his law license, turned me down on Valentine's Day, chased me down over here on Gay Street trying to. And I didn't run from him. The light turned green. Had it not turned green, he'd grab, you know, I would have had to fight him. And, you know, excuse me, Mr. Ward, but you don't want to catch me. Please don't catch me. I beg you not to catch me. Because if you do, it won't be good for you. It won't hurt me a bit. I'll defend myself, you thug. Chase me down here on Gay Street. That's what the Board of Law Examiners do. Now, when I tried again to get my law license, I'm not violent at all. They're violent. They even patted me down before I went in to be peaceful with them. You can listen to that video on YouTube. So let's look at some pictures here. Hope y'all enjoyed the show. We're going to shut her down. We'll talk about Major Stacey Heatherly tomorrow. Bring the evidence about her, about how she is breaking the rules and doing stuff that she shouldn't be doing, and we'll show you the proof. Not just stealing valor, some other stuff. We've invested money, spent money in research looking into her misconduct, and we're on it just like a journalist would be. Let's show you some papers here. Let's look at how many comments on here. Thank you all so much for joining. Like, share, comment. We only like about 300 more subscribers to get over 1,000, and let me advertise my safe taxi business. The courts are taking over, so if you're in Knoxville, safe taxi. And if you want me to advertise for you, I will. So safe taxi in Knoxville, call me and we'll give you a ride. The longer the better. And I'm not sure how much longer we'll do that. These corporations about to put us under. So, and the city of Knoxville is taking our taxi spaces and giving it to corporations under the mayor here. So let me show you some stuff here I brought with me. See how many people I got in here. Thank y'all for listening. That's how violent Jeffrey Ward is. So yeah, almost 300 people in here. I'm not understanding. Bro, stop what you're saying. Well, okay. No, let me finish it. That woman officer recording you. Good. Secretly. Okay, I think it's Kate. Okay, let me read show you some of the evidence here that I got. Some of these people. Let me show you what this is all about in the first place. What they accuse me of. Here's me in a fire, Trooper Morgan, right here in a fire, trying to save a life. And there, bystander, is there anybody in there? Trooper Morgan. Yeah, I can't get to him. Looks like he's crunched in there. So yeah, I'm trying to save a life. Right there I am. So that's how dirty these people are. That's what they'll do to you while you're out risking your life for the public safety. They will. And let me show you a picture of Mr. Jeffrey Ward. This is how violent these people are. This is a sergeant kid. He's got his baseball bat, thinks it's funny. And Sergeant Turley likes to beat people up, hit them with the flashlight. Sergeant Turley. The people in state government are powerful. Here's my square icon. If you want to contribute, hit that square icon. We'll go all across the state, and we will post the news, the truth, unbridled news. Putting this out to 350,000 people have listened to this. Here's some more dangerous people in the highway patrol. Very dangerous man shot at a moving car from a moving car when he was with the highway patrol. It was covered up. Never got in trouble for it, even though you're supposed to. So violent people. Let me show you a picture of Mr. Jeffrey Ward here, so you know who the thug is that chased me down the sidewalk. We're talking about violence by government officials in the state highway patrol. And here is where I was out protecting the public. Did that better than anybody in the state. This is just an award I got. And they took me off the road lying on me. Lying, cheating, robbing, stealing. And they'll do it to you too. And they got the media behind them. So let me talk about this. This is a Lion Lowell Russell, state legislator without any legal education. There's another liar in state government. And let's see here if I can find a picture. I took a picture of Mr. Jeffrey Ward so you can know how dangerous he is. He's probably got a judgeship by now because he lies for the government. We'll show you a picture of him. And I'll cover a few other things and let y'all get the heck out of here. Let's see if I got his picture in here. If I don't, I'll show it to you tomorrow. And also we'll show you some pictures of some other people in state government that lied so that they can get a promotion and endanger the public. Let's see here. Noel got it in here. Thank y'all for hanging on. Let's see. We put this down right here, and we'll get this picture of Jeffrey Ward and show y'all who the thug is that turned me down for my law license. Okay, what do you know? Can't find his ugly mug, so we'll have to get that later. So we'll get his dirty picture later. Let's see if we got it in here. We may have to get it later, but we'll get it for you tomorrow. I assure you, Mr. Jeffrey Ward. We'll show you a picture of his ugly mug. What he did was chase me down the road in violence, and we'll go over some more violent acts by people in state power, and we will cover Major Stacey Heatherly and her public corruption, and maybe send it to the Tennessee Highway Patrol, THPP, and let them know that we're posting this stuff worldwide on the internet, and fight these people in government power. And we'll talk about social movement organizations and how you can join and fight people in power in the government and make a real difference and get power in your government in Tennessee and then the United States of America. And so thank y'all for listening. Like, share, comment, and subscribe, and donate if you can. And we'll be back on here tomorrow, talk about some more people in state power that are violent and dangerous to your safety, health, protection, and well-being. Charles Van Morgan in the morning. This has been another edition. We thank y'all, and as I always say, we'll read some of the comments. God loves you, and I do too. Until tomorrow morning, about 6 o'clock. Bye-bye.